locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Don't you dare be sour. Clap for Duke Loves Rasslin and feel the power.
Someday, there'll be a new day where you don't do these awful impressions anymore.
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing New Day impersonations for a long time.
You should find a better hobby. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Come on. Give me a break. Wise guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone's got to have knowledge around here.
Yeah.
And you're certainly not picking up the slack on that end.
Are you feeling better today?
No, I'm not. Well, a little bit, but
yeah.
No. I've been battling this stupid cold that I've had since last time I sat in this room with you. So
I feel like I have a tickle in my throat this week.
Well, you know, maybe
you give it to me.
You need.
Huh?
Trust me, I've never been that close to you, and I don't plan on it.
Welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin. I am the Duke, and yes, I do enjoy doing pro wrestler impersonations, including the New Day, and I'm going to keep on doing them, no matter what my illustrious co-host, the Boston Bad Boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, says. All right, let's.
Now, I wish this was a beer.
Let me see your ID there.
Yeah,
pal.
no, this is not a beer. It's a delicious sweet tea.
Yes,
you got me a little sweet tea.
Look at that.
Let me try this here.
Put a little pepper in your step.
Because I know sweet tea is different.
Yes, it is.
It's not iced tea. It's not like what your average iced tea is.
You make it differently, too. Like, there's a whole process, man. Don't mess around with it. Whole process.
It's actually not as sweet as you would think. You think if they're calling it sweet tea, it's going to be extra.
No, it's not off-putting.
No, it's not.
No.
Although I did have an off-putting sweet tea. One of the big fast food chains did a sweet tea thing for a while, and it was awful.
See?
It might have been my most hated donut shop, which we can't get rid of around here. They're like herpes in Massachusetts.
Stop it right now.
You can't get rid of them.
Stop it right now.
They did a sweet tea, and it was just disgusting.
Well, that's why it's not on the menu anymore.
This is and I know you're a fan of the Arizona brand.
Yes.
And
yes.
This is actually pretty good.
Shout out to our friends at the Arizona. You know, they
and
make
only
great
99
teas.
cents.
I know. It's a great deal.
You can't beat a can like that.
It's a great deal. You know, Arizona, they gave a thumbs up to Duke Loves Rasslin.
Really?
Yeah, they like the show.
Well, it's about time someone did.
I'm telling you. It's good stuff, man.
I certainly haven't given a thumbs up to this show yet. That's for sure.
No one's looking for you to do anything except sit there and try not to get in the way.
Huh.
Well, what are the top stories in the world of professional wrestling? We're going to find out during Run the Ropes. This guy.
Don't care. You know, the week I've had a very busy week. I'm very tired. It's Thursday, and I can't take it anymore.
You know, every week you have a complaint.
Yeah, because I'm a very busy. I'm an important person. Unlike you, I'm an important person. I do a lot during the week, and by the time I get here, it's like I'm dragged in here, contractually obligated for a contract I didn't sign.
Well, to
listen to you whinge on about professional wrestling.
Give me a break. You know, folks, the Boston Bad Boy, he thinks he's hot stuff because he has a tie on this week.
Well, listen, someone's got to class it up around here, and it certainly isn't you.
Yeah, I'm a little dressed down today, folks. First time ever. And this guy's wearing a tie.
First time ever. Because usually wearing some sort of a sweater vest in here.
Right.
So, that if you want to call that dressed up, I don't know. I don't know what I hate to tell you. It's not really it.
Pip, old chap.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bowler hat is next.
Give me a break. If you are a pro wrestling podcaster, this, out of every episode that you hear from any podcast, this is the podcast you want to listen to. Why? Because we're talking about ProWrestlingPodcast.com, PWPodcast.com. Going to be talking to Andrew from over there. He's going to give you some tips on how to get noticed. Can't wait for that.
Wait, why are we having somebody on to tell other podcasts how to get noticed?
Because we are a community.
I struggle every week to make sure you stay on the rails so that this show is even a smidgen listenable. And I fail often. I'm sorry, listeners. I fail most of the time.
Give me a break.
Duke just goes on, and just, in spite of our wonderful guests and all of my wonderful insights and humor, it just doesn't work.
Give me a break.
And so to have this guy come on, who is very well respected.
Yeah, Andrew's a good guy.
Yeah, but to give other people tips, I don't understand.
Well, here's what you got to understand. In addition to our great listeners out there, we get a lot of coverage.
Yeah,
from the top wrestling sites and the pod. Yes, all because of you.
That's right. Listen, if it was up to you, there'd be nothing to cover.
Oh, okay.
I'm providing coverage.
Oh, shout out to all the wrestling websites that cover us, including PW Podcasts. We do appreciate that because, hey, we're delivering the best pro wrestling podcast content on the planet.
Yes, I am.
So we should be covered.
Yes, I am.
Don't stop it. There's no I in team. Okay.
There is an M and an E, though.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, look, folks, before we get to any of that good stuff, Boston Bad Boy.
What?
We had a music legend pass this week.
We did. It's been a rough week.
Yes, it has been.
It's been a rough week. We've had an American tragedy, and which continues to affect people, a lot of people, and just beginning the healing on that nationwide, and then especially the people involved. I mean, it's one thing to mourn as a nation. We're so far away from it physically. But those people, there's a lot of people that have a long road ahead of them.
I'm telling you, listen, my friend Vargas out there, she was on her way to work.
Really?
When all this stuff happened.
It's crazy.
And she works just right down the street from where this thing happened.
Right in the middle. Right
Probably
in the middle
knew some
of
these folks. So she's, shout out to Vargas.
Yeah, and so on top of that, we have Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Passes away. Unexpectedly at a fairly young age. 66, I think. And again, unexpectedly. There was also, again, I think it had to do with sort of there's just being the week of news it was. There was difficulty in confirming what had happened, and was he in the hospital or what had happened? So it was tricky. It was tricky, especially for us who work in the media, to make sure we're getting everything right here, and also to make sure we do the right thing and make sure we represent everybody and get the news out there and pay tribute to a guy like Petty, who is the cornerstone of rock and roll music and popular music.
Folks, Boston Bad Boy is a legitimate producer for some of the top rock and blues shows in the Northeast.
Yeah,
so,
again, other than this show, there is some legitimacy in my life.
Oh, yeah, other than this show, because this show is definitely legitimate. That's right.
Yeah, so...
But Tom Petty was in town recently.
He was in town recently, and then...
About a month ago, right?
Yeah, and then a couple of years ago, this is actually a funny story, which I don't know if I've told you.
Uh-oh.
Listen, I've worked in the broadcasting business a long time. I've been to a lot of shows. I've been backstage. It's not as glamorous as you think it is. It's usually like sort of a cafeteria.
Okay, big shot.
Listen, back in the 70s and the 80s, I'm sure it was unbelievable. Like if you were with Def Leppard on tour.
Sure.
And you were in the inn, forget it. Just like now, though. If you're touring with Justin Bieber... and you're his buddy.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's great.
I'm sure you get everything.
If you're doing the meet and greet thing, you're hanging around. You're hanging around, And if you're working there, you're just trying to work like everybody else. So we're there. We're at a show, Tom Petty's show, and it was a big. I think it was a double bill. It was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and no, wait, it was actually just Petty. He had an opener, and but it was Petty. So I'm down there working with a bunch of my coworkers down at a big outdoor venue near where we are called Great Woods, which is now got some corporate ownership, but everyone refers to it as Great Woods. It's an outdoor amphitheater.
Great Woods. Yep.
Amphitheater. So we're down there, and we're listeners, and we're getting everything organized, and we're doing a live broadcast. We're driving around in a little golf cart and having a good time. And we end up backstage, the host, myself, and our chief marketing guy. And so before the shows, they would go out on stage, and our guys would go out on the stage and go, "Hey, everybody, welcome to Tom Petty," before the band came out. So, organizing all that together, getting everybody herded backstage, and I'm sort of helping with that. And so they say, okay, well, they go on, all right, so then, the band's going to take the stage. I don't know, I think it happened, they did it before the opener, so it's about a half hour before the band's going to go on, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So everybody's filling around, blah, blah, blah. So now, rock and roll people, they don't want you hanging around. Even if you're working there, they've got their handlers that are keeping everybody moving. So myself and our chief marketing guy, who knows everybody because he's been around a million years, we're just kind of sidled off to the side, just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on, and even though we're not supposed to be there. So as we're standing there, backstage at Great Woods, which is like a big, sort of like a big open cafeteria room, there's a kitchen type thing there, where the crew can eat and all that. We're standing there, and they have these big sort of garage doors that open to the kitchen area. So we're standing there, blah, 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 and this girl comes, a young girl, works there, for the summer or whatever. And she says, "Oh, are you waiting?" And we're like, "No, we're just here to blah, 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 blah." Came up with something. "Oh, okay, well, here's your ticket." And she hands us a green ticket each. We look at each other. All right. And she does, the doors open, the big garage doors open, and behind them is a spread unlike anything I've ever seen. Lobsters, steak, baked potatoes, corn on the cob. I mean, it was a surf and turf. Chocolate cakes, like you see in the movie with the big glass thing on top. All of a sudden, we're in line for food. So we go, all right, I guess we'll eat. So he and I walk through line, get ourselves a lobster, steak, this and that. No one's saying anything because now we have the ticket. We're in line. We go down, we sit down, who comes walking through the door but Mike Campbell of the Heartbreakers and all the rest of the Heartbreakers. Come in, they go in line, get their food, and they sit down at the other end of the table from us. And just, and I'm looking over, and I'm going, are we really having dinner with the Heartbreakers? And he's like, yeah, I guess we are. And I'm like, well, let's enjoy it before they kick us out of here.
Wow, look at that.
So we had dinner. I got myself a piece of chocolate cake. It was delicious chocolate cake.
Biggest and best chocolate cake you've ever had.
Meanwhile, I'm looking through at Petty's guitar techs on stage, setting up all the guitars. You can see the crowd, just through the door as the door's opening and closing. I'm sitting there eating a piece of chocolate cake going, all right, I get this rock star thing. This is pretty effing cool. And so then we eventually, the band went on, and we walked out and watched the show from the inside. And Chuck and I, who's been on the show before, we were in the 5th row. We made our way down there and watched Petty. It was unbelievable.
Huh. So you just told a story about how you stole from Tom Petty.
No, I didn't.
So you...
No, I didn't.
First of all, you were backstage where you shouldn't have been.
Okay. No, I have a badge. I have a badge right here.
You tricked a young lady into giving you a green ticket.
Said, here's your green ticket.
Ate Tom Petty's food.
Yeah.
That you didn't even pay for.
No, I didn't pay for it.
Okay.
But we promote Tom Petty. We love Tom Petty. We've played Tom Petty's music so much.
That doesn't give you
a
a right
lot of
to
money
his food.
in Tom Petty's pocket.
No. Tom Petty missed a piece of steak and a lobster because of you.
No, he didn't. I'm sure he ate on the tour bus.
That was his extra.
I saw the Heartbreakers have their dinner and their cake and eat it too.
They didn't have enough, though.
No, they had plenty.
Because of you.
We left there. I was going to say, can I take a steak to go? Because they had so much food, and that's the decadence of the backstage lifestyle. But I thought it was amazing. I've been backstage at that place for like Aerosmith and for, the Allman Brothers. Never seen a spread like that.
Tom Petty eats well, man. He eats well.
He set it up. And you know what? He didn't mind that I had a little piece of chocolate.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Well, nothing going to do about it now, I guess.
Oh, hey, he won't back down.
Oh, God. How long were you sitting on that joke?
Hey, listen,
I told a whole wonderful story about Tom Petty, and that's the joke you come up with?
I summed it up. That was the part that everyone's going to like the most. Rest in peace to the rock and roll legend.
Yes.
Tom Petty. And with that said, run the ropes. It's time to run the ropes. I give my opinion on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling and educate the Boston bad boy who was not paying attention all week.
It's because, A, it's horrible, and 2, now I got to listen to you regurgitate horrible. It's just
You're going to learn something today, son. You're going to learn something.
Hey, you know what?
Jeff Hardy out for 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
So Jeff Hardy. He's part of the Hardy Boys.
Sure.
Tag team champions. He was a former WWE champion years ago. The whole 9 yards. Well, rotator cuff.
Really?
And I know all about that, brother. Whew. All beat up.
Really?
And this guy's flipping and flopping and doing the whole 9 yards.
I feel like rotator cuff is one of those things that you could be signing your name and it just goes and that's it. You know what I mean?
You never fully heal from this, And everyone I know who's ever had the surgery, never 100%.
Well, you know what that means now. He's just going to be locked into some Vince contract eventually.
Don't start your
nonsense. He'll just bury him.
Look, we just started the show, and you're already going to start with the Vince McMahon stuff.
Listen, if Vince McMahon didn't do it, I wouldn't have to start with it.
Give me a break.
So why don't you tell him to smarten up? Posting shirtless pictures of Vince McMahon, I got to see in my Facebook feed, by the way. It's disgusting.
He's a big muscly man.
Those gross old man veins.
Stop it.
It's disgusting.
Folks, if you head over to the Duke Loves Rasslin Facebook page, you will see a fantastic photo of my friend.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Vincent Kennedy McMahon and all of his muscly glory.
Listen, I understand you post a lot of pictures of very attractive female wrestlers, and we want to balance it out by putting the guys up there too.
Vince,
he's not a wrestler. He doesn't belong there, and he's a disgusting. It's veiny and just old, and he's got that sort of parchment-like old man skin. It's disgusting. It's just horrible, and we've got to keep moving on from this because I'm just grossed out now.
Unbelievable. A random woman twerks at Shane McMahon.
What?
So if anyone was watching SmackDown on Tuesday, right?
Which was probably nobody based on their ratings.
Kevin Owens beat the hell out of Shane McMahon.
Okay.
Which was great.
All right.
And then
I
Shane
can get on board with that.
Was walking down the steps through the crowd.
Sure.
And as he's doing this, this woman holds up her phone to take a selfie. Mm-hmm. But she's not standing there just like posing for a picture.
Okay.
She starts twerking.
She starts twerking.
And is doing a video of herself twerking while Shane McMahon is behind her walking down the stairs. She was twerking at Shane McMahon and doing a bad job of it, by the way.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, twerking is something done with the rear of the body.
Yes.
How is she holding the camera to catch it?
She was holding the camera in front of her face.
Okay.
but at an angle.
Where there was sort of a...
So you could see enough of her butt.
Now,
and Shane was coming up from stadium seats.
Okay.
So he was up too.
All right.
So she got him. She got him.
Got him what?
He's walking down the stairs.
Oh, no, I get
and
it,
her
but what does that have
butt
to do
is
with him?
pointed towards him, and
Okay.
she's shaking it around while she's videotaping herself and smiling like she's very proud of herself.
There is a particular finger I'm pointing at you right now,
Yeah.
and there's no... That doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'm just saying, this is what she did.
Why?
Because she's an idiot. What do you mean?
Well,
That's
all right, wait a minute. Now, if we're going to say that, if you're going to say that's the most idiotic thing that idiotic wrestling fans do, I don't think that that's...
Well, she should have stayed out of the way. I mean, what are you doing
Would
in
she
the
jump
way?
over the fence?
She got in the way. He was walking down the stairs, and she literally walked in the way.
Oh, you mean there was no partition? There was no...
There is a partition because there's two sides.
Yeah.
It's like you go to the garden.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but usually those guys, there's those metal railings. She just walked in front, like literally went in front
She
of him.
got right in the shot.
I see.
Boom.
I see.
Because
So
she wanted
was
to
on
be
TV.
self-important.
Well, but wrestling is self-important.
That's what the
But that's
professionals
what it breeds in
do. No,
the fans.
it doesn't breed an idiot to be shaking her butt at this poor guy who's just trying to do his job here.
Listen, you're a part of a culture, a part of a pop culture that is obsessed with self-image and putting themselves out there and making it seem like they're the most important thing in the world.
That's what you do every week on this show.
I am the most. That's the difference. I am the most important thing on this show, and a lot of times beyond this show.
Yeah.
But this empty thing of this twerking, taking selfies, and no one can. And if Shane, come on. Now Vince McMahon. If it was Vince McMahon, I'm all for it. She should do more than twerk.
She should shake her butt at Vince McMahon.
Twerk.
He's a
at
married
the jerk.
man.
Twerk at the jerk.
Oh my God.
You know, start hashtag. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag twerk at the jerk, and you can use that for Duke as well, not just for Vince McMahon.
I'm sick of him already. Ric Flair, ESPN 30 for 30.
Yes. We've been talking about this for a while.
We have. November 7th is coming.
All right.
Okay. We're talking about the 30 for 30 documentary by ESPN. They do a great job with these things.
Are these things, they're usually pretty long too, right? At least an hour, 2 hours?
Yeah, I think this is going to be about an hour and a half.
That's good.
You know, but it's about 2 years in the making.
Yep.
And I guess they just go all out, man. They talk about everything.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Mean, and
highs and lows.
It's interesting that they're even doing it because for so long there's been this battle of what is quote unquote real.
Sure.
As far as sports go, whatever. But you know, when you think about it, if you had these baseball players shooting up steroids, baseball is no longer real. You know, you're enhancing it. These guys are just enhancing acrobatics and acting. That's all it is.
Sure.
So why not do it?
Did you see where Ric Flair claimed he's had relations with like 10,000 women or something like that?
Right. Now, okay. You and I would throw out, like if I said, Duke, how many women? And you'd say, 10,000, right?
No.
You wouldn't say a million?
I would say
all
two.
of them?
Two. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
What
I'm
I'm
not
saying
gonna
is
put a number
10,000 is the number someone throws out there if they don't know the real number and they just want to sound like a lot.
But I believe Ric Flair.
Right. I think he's actually quoting a number.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you do that math, that breaks down to like a lot. That's a busy week in that man's life. Let's just put it that way.
He's like with like 5 women a day for the past.
Well, right, because you figure for the
how many
first,
years?
let's just say for the first at least 12 years of his life, even if let's just say.
Sure.
We just throw that out there. So now where is his age now? Now you divide it all up and this and that. That's a full batting order, let me tell you.
But he's had like 4 or 5 wives.
Well, right.
So this is the best part about the whole thing.
Right.
It's
Because
like,
it wasn't
whoa.
like, so how old was he first got married? It wasn't like he suddenly, he got it all the way then.
Not only did he not slow down, he sped up. So
he was out of control.
Space Mountain. That's it.
But even Space Mountain, you got to have that lap thing that holds you in. There's a little bit of safety,
Sure.
That's beyond. This is beyond Space Mountain.
Well, here's my question. Is it still going?
Of course it is.
Do you think the ride is still
Of course
going?
it is.
Unbelievable.
Because here's the thing. He was through a horrible medical thing he pulled through.
Sure.
What pulled him through that but the thought of, you know what, I might get laid tonight. That had and he knows that he can, and he knows what the quality he's going to get.
Boom.
So he's just saying, you know what? I'm going to keep it going.
I'm Ric Flair.
Absolutely. I'm Ric Flair, and that's all there is to it.
Shout out to the Nature Boy. Oh, you're going to love this Boston bad boy.
I can't wait.
Billy Corgan makes it official. The deal is done. NWA is officially owned by Billy Corgan. The National Wrestling Alliance, not the rap group, folks. Come on. Calm down.
Certainly not
Somebody
the
was
rap
about
group.
to call Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and complain, damn it.
Get the doctor on the phone.
You know what I'm saying? No, but this is crazy, though. Corgan actually put
Because
out a detailed 20-year plan
Please.
for what he's going to do with the NWA.
Yeah, but considering the shit show that this has been up until now, why are we... I mean, really? Are you going to be able to get there?
Listen, if anybody can do it, it's Billy Corgan. He is the smashing pumpkin. Okay?
You know, I sent you an article about Billy Corgan. And that Billy, I don't know, here's some views I don't agree with.
Yep.
He may be a wrestling fan, whatever. But I think that there's some weird conservative thing going on with Billy Corgan.
What do you mean?
Well, he's sort of like, wasn't he on, did he go on Alex Jones?
I don't know, but I'm going to look that up now.
I think that there was, and I'm looking through the article here, which is not, I should have done this earlier, but I didn't know you were going to talk about this.
What kind of producer are you where you don't
Listen,
prepare?
I can think on my feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's scary.
So apparently has a history of sort of leaning and making comments and tweets and things that go a bit beyond the right, maybe a bit towards the
because we have no problem
alt-right.
with our friends in the right.
No.
You know, right, left, in the middle,
Right.
we're cool with you.
Yeah.
But once you start getting out in those fringe areas there, that's when I get a little nervous.
Yeah, well, he was doing this whole thing of using the word liberal as an insult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like, okay, Billy Corgan.
That's going to work in wrestling, by the way.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling doesn't need that.
No.
Wrestling needs more diversity. Wrestling needs more open-mindedness.
Sure.
So I wonder if his 20-year plan included that. I think the guy's full of crap. I just think top to bottom he's full of crap.
Listen, Billy
and I think
Corgan-
for owning a wrestling company, he's full of crap.
Billy Corgan, you're welcome to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast and defend yourself. Talk about your plan for the NWA, and you and the Boston Bad Boy can have it out because he's literally been calling you out for a couple months now.
Well, you know, he apparently called out Bernie Sanders because he compared him to Mao. It's like, you
Give
know,
me a break.
It's a little bit much,
Yeah,
Billy
it's much.
Corgan here. You know what
It's
I mean?
much.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
And in the end, you're a singer. Okay, you're not a political scientist. Everyone's entitled to their views, but also everyone's entitled to shut the F up once in a while.
Sure.
So if you want to do wrestling, do wrestling. I don't care. But if you do involve yourself in wrestling and take on such a historic brand that you're attempting to, you're going to F it up if you don't smarten up. That's my thought. And I just think that, you know, I'm going to do a little more research on this, and because I don't want to misquote the guy.
Uh-oh.
But I just think that more is going to come out
Smashing.
about this guy.
Smashing.
Yes, smashing. Yeah, it smashes.
The number one story in the world of professional wrestling is...
I don't care. Oh,
Stay out of this.
sorry. Thought that's what you were going to say.
WWE Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Live this Sunday on the
Really?
WWE Network. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. It's going to be
That's thrilling.
action-packed. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay.
He's going to be battling the WWE champion, Jinder Mahal.
All right.
Natalia, she's taking on Charlotte Flair, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, this big match between
Jinder
and
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Will there be more racial slurs happening?
I
or,
hope not.
You know, are there going to be more racially charged? You know,
I
making
hope not.
fun of?
I hope not.
Will your man Vince McMahon be writing racially insensitive material for his performers
I
to
hope not.
perform?
I hope not. But he has his hands full because Shane McMahon is taking on Kevin Owens in a Hell in a Cell match.
Is he getting twerked though? Because that's the most important part. Clearly.
Can you imagine if Kevin Owens twerked on
Well,
Shane?
you never
match?
know. That might be it.
That would be a problem.
Well, it might make it interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because
Would
they're
you
going to need
watch
all the
that?
help. They're going to need all the help they can to make it interesting. What I would find interesting is if Vince McMahon and his cadre of inept writers and creative people behind the scenes could do something better with a Hell in a Cell match between Jinder and Shinsuke than to make it a cheap heat just to get it over, because they're creatively bankrupt and they've got two really good guys up there that could put on a good show. You know, come up with something better than him doing these, Asian stereotype stuff. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And while we're at it, let's lay off misconstruing Jinder, who is a Sikh, to a Muslim, because we're all scared of Muslims, or we're supposed to be scared of Muslims. So it's all stupid, and I think that they're going to screw it up, and that's all I have to say about that.
Listen, you're going to have to calm down
I'm not going to calm
we're
down.
We're in the beginning of the show.
You started with Billy Corgan now, and you got me all
trash
pissed
about
off
Vince
because
McMahon,
we're supposed to
about Billy Corgan, who's my
Billy
new friend.
Corgan is
going to
be worse than Vince McMahon.
No, well,
because Vince McMahon, well, at least he's like Vince McMahon's like the old school, like conservative uncle who's like fiscally conservative, but he's not going to bust your chops. Billy Corgan's going out there, calling people, "Oh, you're a liberal, you're this and that," complaining.
I
Because
like Billy Corgan.
Well, you're the only one.
I listen to his music.
Wow.
Okay.
Would you on a cassette?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, because it's probably the last time it was ever printed.
Well, so what? I like Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan.
And Vince McMahon, he and I are good friends. So just be careful with my friends who you talk about on this show, okay?
Yeah, I just think that he actually did. He went on InfoWars with Alex Jones.
All right, you're going to bring... We're past Billy Corgan.
No, I'm going back to Billy Corgan because here's the thing. If you look the other way on Vince McMahon, that's one thing. You're going to look the other way on Billy Corgan, that's dangerous territory, my friend. I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Listen,
I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Billy Corgan can come on this show and defend himself, and he can explain to us why.
No, you know what? I don't want him on this show. How about that? I don't want him on this show.
I want Billy Corgan on the show.
No, I don't.
He could sing for me.
He can go back to Alex Jones, and they can talk about
don't go back to
chemtrails.
No,
and they can talk about pizza parlors
Alex
with
Jones
secret basements
is
in
not
them.
welcome on this show, by the way.
No, Alex Jones isn't welcome on the show, and his buddy Billy Corgan is no longer welcome either.
Stop it. You've heard what I think. Now, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm a jerk?
Yes,
Maybe something in between? Head over to Facebook. Head over to Twitter. Type in Duke Loves Rasslin and let me know. Up next, Andrew from PW Podcasts.
This is Rudy Boy Gonzalez of the Texas Wrestling Academy, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin. This is Andrew Soucek with PWPodcast.com, the #1 source for pro wrestling podcast news.
Nice.
There he is.
Andrew. Finally. Man,
finally a real podcaster on this show.
That's
going to be a nice change.
Stop it right now.
Nice change.
Listen, I'll tell you something. I've been reaching out to Andrew for the better part of the year here, and he's been blowing me off.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, stop it right now. So he finally joined us.
Yeah, you guys got me tonight. I know I ran out of excuses.
The dog is dead, and grandma.
I know.
He's everything. Yeah.
Now listen,
you got me this time.
Andrew. Let's just jump right into this here because you actually are part of a very interesting website that's pretty important for pro wrestling podcasters. So just can you briefly explain what is PWPodcast.com? What's the deal with that site there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, people, I guess, within the industry and fans for years have known about the Pro Wrestling Torch. I believe it's been around since 1987. Wade Keller started it up, and it has just grown into one of the big news sources for wrestling news over the past few decades. And a few years ago, he started up ProWrestlingPodcast.com. James Caldwell used to run it. He was the assistant editor there. But he ended up leaving kind of the wrestling business altogether. And then so the site was dormant. And not too long ago, I was chatting with Wade on how I could get more involved with the Torch. And he told me about this site. And the site is just a place where we cover all the biggest wrestling podcasts out there. But there's so many of them out there that it's just impossible to listen to them all within a week. Eric Bischoff, Something to Wrestle With is usually like 3-4 hours alone. Tony Schiavone's What Happened When. Steve Austin has 2 shows. Chris Jericho. So, like, you can literally...
Duke Loves Rasslin.
I'm getting there.
We keep it short for you.
That's right.
Listen, I'll do this show in 4 minutes if that's what it takes. The less time I have to spend with the Duke, the better.
Jesus.
Just cover all these different podcasts. And then, of course, we do quick quotes, which we have printed some of your guys' quotes, some of your interviews in the past. I believe Al Snow, Big Vito, a couple of them. Mm-hmm. So, so different podcasts out there. It's cool. They're reaching out to us and sending us quotes from just all these different interviews. Or if, like, say, Charlotte or, fill-in-the-blank wrestler does something with Sports Illustrated, we'll grab some of those key quotes and bring them on over. So it's a nice mix of quick, short quotes that you can read in 30 seconds, or if you want to read like what happened to, or on say what happened when, instead of listening to it for 2 hours, you can just read up what happened in 5 minutes and get kind of the big stories. And then we, of course, link to the actual show. So if you want to listen to the whole thing, just check out the link.
So the website is a place where folks can get quick quotes on what happened on different top podcasts, pro wrestling podcasts, and you actually provide the link directly to the shows. So if someone wants to actually hear that and more, they can just click on that link right from your site, and they're listening to the shows.
Yeah, that's right. And we put timestamps on there as well. So we try to, so like Eric Bischoff starts talking about his time in WWE. Then we'll put check out, 32 minutes and 15 seconds. And then you can just jump to that part of the show because, like me personally, I'll just say it. Like, I don't care about wrestlers talking about non-wrestling things most of the time. I like Chris Jericho's show, but the first 10 minutes I could probably skip every single week and it'd be just fine. A lot of those shows. So if you're like that or just don't have the time, you can click on a certain part. And I think that's kind of a cool feature that the contributors provide.
Well, the biggest part of the show on this show, I contribute usually at the end, so you can just skip right to the end of any of these shows that you listen to, and you'll find the real content. I'm curious, what does it take? I mean, that's a lot of scanning, like you said, and trying to find this stuff. Obviously, people sending you stuff, but what kind of a team do you guys have over there to put it all together and get it organized and, formatted and up and out?
Sure. Well, Wade Keller, he's the owner of the site. He's an editor there. But of course, he's crazy busy with the Torch.
Sure.
I mean, he has his own podcast. He has 4 days a week on Podcast One, and then he has Bruce Mitchell audio show, and a few others that he's doing every single week. So he's a little bit involved. He kind of runs the site, but then day to day, I'm the editor there. So if somebody sends in a recap, I put up all the recaps. Otherwise, I just brought in an assistant editor. His name is Jeff Rush. He has done the Something to Wrestle With podcast recaps in the past, and he does a really good job with those. And now he's kind of providing a lot of quick quotes, and he kind of helps with social media. Otherwise, we probably have maybe a dozen different writers at the moment, just sending in weekly reports of Steve Austin and Chris Jericho and Bischoff and all those different shows. So, but yeah, that's always in flow. So, but we are always looking for more contributors as well. So if anybody wants to get involved with writing podcast recaps or just the Torch family in general, hit me up at pwpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can set you up with the show.
That's pretty cool. And shout out to our good friend Conrad Thompson. Conrad, he was on the show for my birthday, actually, last year.
Oh,
It was really cool. We spent some time with us.
Duke turned 62. It was a beautiful thing. There was a lot of candles on the
cake.
Give
me a break. But, Conrad, he's always been supportive of Duke Loves Rasslin, and we appreciate him doing well with Something to Wrestle With and What Happened When Mondays with Tony Schiavone. So
two great shows.
Two great shows.
So you said you're looking for new content always because something's always happening. What are you looking for your content? If someone wants to send you something, like you said, you don't want all kinds of filler. What's the stuff that you guys look for to throw out there?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, any podcast out there that is talking to someone within the industry, especially if it's current or former WWE, WCW, ECW, TNA wrestler or personality, interviewer. If they've been on somebody's show and you have a few key highlights and you want to transcribe those, that would be awesome to send them our way.
Cool.
We'll post those. But yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of stuff, so we don't always get to everything, and some things just aren't quite newsworthy enough, but we try to get quite a bit of it up there. In a timely fashion as well. So yeah, just kind of anybody within the industry, really.
Sure.
Now, when it comes to the quality of interview that you're looking for, as far as content is concerned, you mentioned something to me personally, which I thought was interesting. You would prefer the wrestlers to not be speaking in character if you're going to be reporting on it on your side. Is that correct?
That is, it's kind of weird for me personally because, from a fan perspective, I wish everyone was in kayfabe mode all the time. I think that would be more enjoyable. But for the news part of it, it's just easier to, to be consistent with our site. I mean, now and then we do kind of bend the rules on that because wrestlers go in and out of character at time. But that just gets to be trickier. If, say, like, Sasha Banks says she wants to beat up Dana Brooke, but then it's like, oh, it was in character. So I try to make note of that too. Like, oh, she was mostly in character for this interview. But yeah, just in general, probably best if they're out of character, just for the newsworthiness factor.
We talk to a lot of guys, a lot of younger coming up wrestlers who are still working on their gimmicks and such. And, sometimes they're in character, they're out of character. There's a guy who's a pirate. He's in the Midwest. I don't know what that means. He's not even near an ocean.
Captain Stevens is his name. Say his name
But my
right.
point is, with those guys, you could, in and out of character, pretty straightforward. The professionals, it's kind of hard to tell. So how do you is there a telltale? Because, I love the behind the scenes stuff. I love when they're not necessarily in character, but a lot of these guys will, shoot but they'll go into character. They're going back and forth. So it's like wading through that must be a bit of a craziness.
Yeah, it can be. I guess, yeah, just the more you read this stuff and listen to it, you can, and that's kind of the beauty of pro wrestling is sometimes you don't know. You don't know.
Right. Really it keeps you, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, like that's part of the fun. So, so there are definitely times we probably have printed things that were like, well, he's probably, I just want to say like Matt Hardy is. You never know with that guy.
Never know. You never know with Matt Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little asterisk, we think this is real.
Exactly.
And
but he's pretty nuts, so you never know there. Talk to us about Wade Keller for a second. Is he, does he get any rest at all? Because, like you said, he's all over Podcast One. He has the torch. He's doing all these different things, when does this guy sleep?
I have literally wondered that myself and wanted to ask him. There's been times I've emailed him a question at 1 a.m. and he'll respond 2 minutes later. And I'm just like, this is insane because I know you get up earlier than I do. And he has a family. And I'm just baffled because he knows a lot about sports, too. Like, wrestling is pretty much my life, and then I know a little bit about video games and movies.
Nice.
I could not talk sports for 2 minutes with somebody.
Well,
so
that requires so much attention span too. To keep up with sports, you've got to be intaking all that information constantly. Never mind writing and then doing the stuff with the pro wrestling side.
Yeah, it's insanity. And like you said, he has those shows, and then he puts out the torch every week. And my guess is he's like Vince McMahon and gets like 3 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
I don't know for sure.
Now, you guys on the site, on pwpodcast.com, you actually have your own podcast as well. Is that correct?
That is something that should be coming out soon, probably within the next few weeks. We're kind of talking about doing it's very meta, but a PW, like a pro wrestling podcast. But we're definitely, yeah.
It's like Inception.
Yes, exactly. And we'll definitely have to have you guys on sometime.
I was going to ask you if you're looking for a producer. I am a free agent, and I will leave in a heartbeat.
Let me explain something.
Produce that
Let
show.
me explain something to you, Andrew. You don't come on to the Duke Loves Rasslin show and try to headhunt my producer, okay? That's what you're not going to do. The Boston Bad Boy is locked into an ironclad contract. He can't even discuss with anybody else going on their show.
I'm about ready to tap my social security number in Morse code so that Andrew can rescue me from this weekly hell that I have to go through with you.
Give me a break. What's the hottest story going on right now on pwpodcast.com? Anything good that the fans should check out?
Oh, man. Looking at the site today, Jeff was putting some stuff up today. Just sending some J.J. Dillon stories. Matt Hardy had that's probably why he popped to mind, had an encounter at an airport a couple days ago.
Uh-oh.
We put up random stuff, some fun stuff, mostly serious stuff. Of course, lately a lot of it was Bobby Heenan related, so that was kind of interesting, just hearing all these people in the industry tell their tale. So that was kind of an interesting, fun week, kind of looking back at a legend from all these different angles. That's kind of been some of the bigger stuff going on at the moment. Just yesterday I put up the Randy Savage episode of Something to Wrestle With, and of course that was like 3 weeks ago, but it was a 4-hour episode, so
you had to dig into it.
It took a while to get out, but we try to get one of those up a week. So always something new going on.
I got a major request for you, Andrew.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sure.
I need you to do me a favor, please, since we're friends now.
Oh, here we go.
Whenever you mention anything about my arch nemesis
Oh, stop.
in all the universe, and I'm talking about Roman Reigns.
Oh, boy.
Whenever you mention anything about Roman Reigns, you make sure that it's negative, okay? Because there's nothing. He's a nothing happening, pumped up punk from the gym, okay? So you make sure that when you put anything on pwpodcast.com about Roman Reigns, it's negative. Can you do that for me, my friend?
He does have pretty nice hair, though.
Oh, come on. Give me
Duke,
a break.
Duke, look at me. Look at me. Andrew is a journalist. You are crazy.
All right,
He's
come on.
going to report the things that happen in real life,
Give me a break.
not your bizarre fantasies involving Roman Reigns,
No,
okay? So leave the guy alone. He was
not a
nice enough to come
fantasy.
on this show and help you out to make your show better
Oh, yeah.
because it needs it.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to aggravate about Roman Reigns?
Well,
Enough.
He tries to steal you. Now he's saying
Steal
nice
me. I'm
things
trying to
about
run
Roman
over
Reigns.
there. I'm
Give me
trying
a
to run
break.
as fast as I
Give me
can
a
over
break.
there.
Andrew,
Andrew, anytime you need me, brother.
give me a break. Now, if fans want to get in touch with you, what's the best way that they can reach out to you there, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm on Twitter. I'll be honest, I tweet like once a week, usually about TNA Impact Wrestling, because I host a show at I co-host a show at the Torch with Mike McMahon every Thursday night. If you want to listen to that live, listen to us run down Impact. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. Andrew Soucek, Soucek. Otherwise, yeah, PW Podcast. If you want to get involved or just say hi or just pwpodcast@gmail.com and I will check it out.
Before we let you go, since you brought up TNA, Sienna, is she not incredible? She's incredible, right? Sienna. Huh?
Speaking of
Pinky's
Duke's,
up. Pinky's up. She's incredible.
Speaking of Duke's fantasies,
She
we
is-
don't need to go down
she's
this
incredible.
road.
Listen, Sienna knows that I am one of her biggest fans in life.
Andrew, I'm so
Okay?
sorry you came on this show.
She's
tonight.
incredible.
So you must have so
She
many
is
things to do
incredible.
that
She
are
could
real.
beat us all up.
Some legitimate
one hand.
journalism, and he
Stop
comes
it.
on this show and makes time for
She's
us.
incredible.
Stop. Let the man go. Would
She's
you?
incredible.
Let him go.
All right. Well, huh?
She's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
His name is Andrew Soucek. Listen, Andrew.
Soucek.
I'm going to
You
say
had it right,
Soucek.
Andrew
man.
Soucek.
Oh.
See that?
Unbelievable.
He's never coming back. I
This
just
is
ruined
Andrew,
his name.
You see what happened? This is why I'd be such a great producer for you.
Look
Oh
at this.
man, yeah.
This is what
All
happens.
right, I'm on the
Yeah.
money here, brother.
We'll never be on pwpodcast.com again because of this. This is terrible. Andrew, you're more than welcome to come on the show again. We appreciate your fantastic site. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, love to. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
You know, I don't appreciate you trying to embarrass me in front of Andrew.
I didn't have to try that hard. You screwed up the guy's name. I had it. Listen, when we talked to him, we did a little pre-interview.
Sure.
We went through over all the notes.
Sure.
You saw the notes. I wrote down a spelling here. That's how you do it phonetically. You remember Hooked on Phonics, right?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
that's how you do it phonetically. And I remembered.
Let me tell you
That's why I am an ace producer
Yeah.
who's moving on to bigger and better things. Okay?
Look
Bigger
at,
and better.
Look at your contract, pal. I will sue you. Okay? Just remember that. I will sue you.
Yeah, you wish you had
Okay.
a Vince McMahon contract
Yeah,
on me.
don't
you
worry.
Wish.
I learned
You
from
go
the
to sleep
best.
at night dreaming about it.
I learned from my friend Vince. I learned from the
you're
best.
full of it.
All
You're
right?
full of it.
But Andrew's a pretty down-to-earth guy. I
Yeah,
like
no,
him.
it was good.
Yeah.
Good talking
Yeah.
to him.
And it was cool. You know, he name-dropped Conrad Thompson, who continues to be a supporter of ours.
Yes.
You know,
And Conrad was doing the Ric Flair show for a long time
yeah,
there. And
yeah. Now he's moved on. You know, that's something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
They won an award for that.
Really?
Show. Yeah, man. The top sports podcast
really.
out of all sports. So they beat everybody.
Well, it
ESPN,
hits right
Fox
on that
Sports.
little thing of like the inside guy, but not
Bingo.
necessarily the biggest name
Yep.
guy. So you
Yep.
kind of give it more of a like you're sort of in on the conversation kind
Sure.
of thing, you know. And
Sure.
it's not sort of bombastic or anything like that. So
But it's interesting that PW Podcast, they feature us.
yeah, well, especially considering all the hard work I put in.
Oh, my goodness.
It is amazing that they allow you to be featured at all anywhere.
But, you know, we're the only podcast that doesn't have a wrestling executive or a pro wrestler running the podcast that's featured on that top site there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you keep name dropping Vince McMahon. Maybe that has something to do with it.
See that? See?
It should be a frightening
You
thought.
should thank me for all of this.
Please, if I would like to thank you for letting me go so we can get on with the show here.
You know what? I'm going to bring up something because
Oh, boy.
this happens every week, and I got to talk to you about this, producer.
Now what?
Every week here at the secret location,
Yep.
you have the guy that comes and helps out, and he turns on the vacuum
I know.
around this time.
I know. Can you hear that?
Okay.
Hang on, I can hear it on your mic. Hang on, go ahead. Can you hear that?
You hear that, folks?
Yeah,
it's the vacuum running.
Yeah. Well, listen, I like cleanliness is next to godliness.
That's fine. But when I'm trying to do this show, I don't need that happening.
Here's the thing. You're so bad at doing this show that a vacuum isn't going to throw it off at all. Trust me. The vacuum's the least of your problems.
This guy
to do
kills
a good
me
show.
here. It's like he knows I'm here, and then he's going to do this.
I tell him to come here.
Give me a break.
I tell him that you're coming in at such and such a time, and he comes with the vacuum.
Look, let me tell you something. I'm not a fan of his.
Well,
all right.
Well, he thinks this show sucks.
We should have him on the show. We should literally tell him to stop right now and come on the mic, and he can explain himself.
because the vacuum sounding in the background is way better than anything you have to say to him.
All right. Well,
leave the man alone. Let him work.
Up next, the Boston Bad Boy is probably going to upset me like he's been doing all show because he has something on his mind, which I don't even want to hear about.
I was in a good mood, but now I'm not.
Yeah, good. Thanks. But before we get to any of that, Andrew brought it up. The passing of Bobby the Brain Heenan, the greatest manager, one of the greatest commentators of all time in pro wrestling. And, folks, we played that tribute where we had a couple of fans and even a wrestler give their thoughts and well wishes to Bobby and his family. And we do have another.
Yes.
From our friend Roy Lucier.
That's right.
The super fan.
He sent it in. He was a little under the gun, but we got it in, so we're going to throw it up right now.
Yeah, so here's what we'll do, folks. We're going to play Roy's special message to Bobby. And then right after that, then we'll jump right into whatever the heck the Boston Bad Boy has to say for himself.
I can hardly wait.
So I've been asked to give my favorite memory of Bobby Heenan. This is Roy Lucier, by the way. Wow. Well, there's so many to begin with. And that's one thing about Bobby is everybody has a different memory of him that they remember. I'm going to go ahead and just say probably what comes to mind first is the barbershop incident where Shawn Michaels threw Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window, whatever, and you got Bobby Heenan going, I can't believe it. Did you see that? Marty Jannetty just jumped through the window to get away from Shawn Michaels. And Gorilla Monsoon was like, would you stop? There's no doubt, as a 43-year-old man, Heenan was a part of my childhood, that none of us will ever forget. So intricate, with the announcing and, the way him and Monsoon and, the way his talent got along and the way him and Monsoon, the chemistry between those two. I mean, Monsoon wasn't the greatest announcer in the world, but geez, the chemistry that him and Heenan had just made up for that. And that's all I can think of immediately. But I just say that this has definitely been one of the harder deaths to deal with. We knew it was his time, but it's still, a hard one to think that, it's like a part of your childhood going away. So that's my memory of Bobby Heenan that I want to share with y'all.
Hey everybody, this is Rudy Russo, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin. How do you like them, Montana?
Boston Bad Boy, we last week we had Big Vito LoGrasso.
Yes.
A good friend of the show. He came on, and he spoke about his Take a Knee for CTE campaign, which I'm proud to say it actually got picked up by all the top wrestling news sites and on Twitter and Facebook. You got fans openly discussing this.
Well, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the discussion to happen. The fans are going to demand, I think, eventually, just like in the NFL, they're going to demand that, this isn't a blood sport. You know what I mean? That at least we're more aware and educated about what the risks are, and that people that are getting into it know ahead of time, too, so that they don't end up 15 years later going, wait, what?
Exactly.
I didn't know this could happen.
And it's funny, too, because Triple H, he put out a statement just talking about people taking knees and how the WWE respects people's right to protest, which that had to do with Vito.
Oh, well,
so
he
prompted the WWE to give a loose response.
Well, Triple H is a snake and will blow with it any way the wind blows. But in this case, he's blowing in the right direction.
Yeah, he
so
is.
I get I'll give credit there.
Yeah,
but that's where it ends.
We'll tip our hat to that one there. So what do you have going on with yourself this week?
Well, I don't know. I was having a nice day, and then you dragged me down into this show. I'm going to undo the tie now a little bit. Now.
Yeah, I see
I'm going to get myself
You're
comfortable.
You're all disheveled,
here. Disheveled?
Yeah.
I thought that was sort of like a relaxed casual.
You didn't even shave. You couldn't shave for the show today? Look at you.
I have a beard, you moron.
Is that what that is?
Jeez, more than what you got on top of your head. So, I want to talk about an interesting character.
Oh, my Buddha.
Someone definitely more interesting than you.
Okay.
And that fellow by the name of Bray Wyatt.
Oh, yes.
Who's-
the Eater of Worlds.
Yes, which we always talk about gimmicks, and I think this is a clever one. I think this one is going places, and that's why I have a problem. So follow me on this, because I know your head is spinning with denial already. So Bray Wyatt, let's fill in the casual viewer like myself. His whole gimmick is that he's sort of like a backwoods preacher.
Yeah,
Sort of a cult
almost
leader.
like a cult leader.
Cult
yeah.
leader.
Sure.
Sort of like, a Cape Fear. Kind of that greasy, gangly, scary. You don't want to run into him, out by the moonshine still.
That's right.
On a dark night. So his whole bit is, he's just got this thing. He's just got this psychological kind of, I think it appeals to sort of the zombie craze that's going on right now. People love it. They eat it up. He's got the whole thing where he comes out and he's got the lantern, and then people hold their phones up. It's a whole kind of a
Like
spooky
the
thing.
flies in the sky.
Sure,
Yeah,
right. And he does this whole, every time he does a promo, he's really into the over the top creep factor. I don't know how else to describe it.
Sure.
So he does this. He really gets into it, and so it's popular. It's over. It's over. I think we can both agree, you and I, right, that it's over.
Bray Wyatt is probably one of the most over characters of the past 10, 20 years.
Exactly,
in
right.
wrestling. There's no two ways about it.
So
Yeah.
in true form, Vince wants to bury him.
Oh, come on. Stop
and
that
that's
right
exactly
now.
what's been happening.
Stop that.
Do you realize that this guy, who's got this great gimmick, who's so over, has literally lost 7 out of 10 matches? 7 out of 10. So explain to me how that works. The fans want to see the guy. The fans are a fan of this guy. He loses 7 out of 10. 70%. He's losing.
Well, look, it's pro wrestling. So
No.
you don't want to talk about wins and losses.
This is another hatchet job, my friend.
No. Here's the thing. That character is so strong that even he can lose 7 out of every 10 matches and still be okay. The fans still like him. So that means he's that over.
No. But here's the thing. This is the Vince McMahon method. This is the sandbagging that happens. You start to get the guy he starts losing matches. Then he's not really on TV much anymore. Other people are getting slotted in. He kind of disappears. And so, people naturally have short attention spans. And because this guy is getting too big for his britches, and we know Vince hates that, because God forbid someone's more powerful than him or has his face on TV for more time than Vince does, shirtless, which is disgusting, as we discussed earlier, they're going to just devalue this guy. They're going to make him lose, till no one's really interested, because you can't back a loser all the way to the end.
Hold on.
I mean, I'm here doing this show with you. I'm attempting to do that. I'm attempting to back a loser all the way to the end.
What?
But I still, it doesn't work, especially in pro wrestling.
Listen, they put the championship on Bray Wyatt.
Oh, stop.
Okay, he was champion before.
Less than a month.
Oh,
How many? 3 weeks. I don't know what it was. Something stupid. Get out of here.
but he still had the belt.
Oh, okay. Well,
He still had the belt.
yeah. How did that work out for what's his face with the Money in the Bank and all that?
All right, stop that
Yeah.
right now.
How'd that work
You're
out?
Not gonna
Because he opened his mouth backstage again. Too big for his britches. For Vince McMahon.
Okay.
That evaporated. It's funny. All these writers, you think they'd want to make more work for themselves by writing these guys out of content, but it turns out the boss is having it come down from the top. How can you have a storyline when the boss is going, I think we got to get this guy out of here because I don't like the way he's too big for his britches.
You really think that Vince McMahon wants to bury Bray Wyatt, one of
Absolutely.
his top stars? Are you kidding me right now?
He's been doing it to everybody.
No,
he's done it to female stars. He's done it to male stars.
No.
He's done it all the
Your
time.
bias is showing right now.
My bias is shown?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how history is repeating itself. So, you posted, and this is what got me going earlier. You posted that something's coming up for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That Bray Wyatt is going to reveal something he's been leading up to for a while.
Sister Abigail.
That's right. So, the premise being that Bray Wyatt is in touch with some sort of supernatural entity that calls itself Sister Abigail.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen. Why would a big, scary guy take his orders from Sister Abigail, and then we're going to come to a big surprise where you know they're going to have that guy come out in a dress? You know it.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it? It's emasculating. That's what's wrong with it.
Come on.
Listen, I'm all for the equality of the sexes.
Come on.
But you know Vince McMahon is old school, and he thinks dressing a guy up like a girl is some kind of stupid insult. Now, I think Bray Wyatt, as talented as he is, could probably make it work, and the fans will love it, and it'll be something interesting. But this is another kick. They're going to have the guy keep losing, they're going to dress him up like a woman, and they're just going to try and bury him.
Do you really think that that's what's going to make the WWE money to bury Bray Wyatt?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because they're going to start pushing. They're going to just keep pushing John Cena until his dungarees explode, and you know, whatever. Vince can collect the money out of his own pockets.
No, you know what your problem is.
Your problem is your buddy Vince is completely obsessed with controlling everyone, and he'll make them lose just to watch it, just to degrade them, just to prove a point.
I think that your problem is you want to sit here and all show you've been picking at Vince McMahon, and at some point you got to drop it, bro. Okay, he's a billionaire.
Yeah, and don't you think a billionaire would have something better to do than hire people just to mess with their lives? Don't you think
he's improving their lives?
How's
Bray
that?
Wyatt?
Is that like how Triple H is improving their careers by taking pictures with him? We see how friggin' effective that's been.
All right.
Get out of here! You're unbelievable.
I'm
it's
done with
stupid.
this guy. Thank you to Andrew.
Don't start the music when I'm talking.
I'm done with this guy.
Get out.
Thank you to Andrew from PWPodcast.com for
Andrew,
joining us this week.
I will work very, very cheap, please. I'm
you'll
here.
never be out of your contract.
Listen, I cook,
All right?
I clean,
you'll
whatever
never
you need.
be out of your contract. Join us next week, folks, and hopefully the Boston Bad Boy get a clue, because clearly he doesn't have one this week.
Yeah, you're demented. You know,
No.
you're like a real backwoods
Stop
guy.
talking about
you're
Vince
obsessed
McMahon.
with Vince
I'm
McMahon.
gonna-
It's
no.
disgusting
Stop
and it's scary.
talking about Vince
It's
McMahon.
bizarre.
No.
And you know what?
I'm
You need
sick
a
of
hobby
this
like Vince
crap
needs a
right
hobby.
now.